Welcome to Now in Android, a practical guide to Android design principles. In this series, we'll use Now in Android to learn about Android development best practices in detail. In this video, we'll learn about local testing, which is a type of functional testing. Functional testing is a fundamental test to confirm that your app is working as intended. Local testing is a test that runs on a local JVM. It is recommended to do functional testing as much as possible with local tests because they are faster than instrumentation tests. The official documentation lists the following 3 items that should be tested with local tests: view model unit tests, data layer and domain layer unit tests, and utility class unit tests. In this video, we will first take a closer look at the first and second items. Okay, here's the English translation. First, I will explain about testing view models. In view model testing, we focus on the following 3 points. First is to test the changes in UI state. Second is to use a test repository to prepare this UI state. Third is to not use Android view models. Let's look at each of these in detail. First, let's focus on the role of the view model. The view model is responsible for generating and holding the UI state. Therefore, it's important to test how the UI state changes in response to each event. As a concrete example, we'll test how view model functions like update news resource saved affect the UI state. Furthermore, we'll also check how changes in the repository's state affect the UI state held by the view model. We use test repositories for testing view models. A test repository is a fate that provides functions specifically for testing. As an example, we use a sendTopic function to create a state where the repository holds a specific topic data class for testing. Finally, we'll look at the deprecation of Android view models. Android view models are abstract classes that make the application class available, but they are now discouraged. When testing classes that depend on the application class, you need to use instrumentation tests or Robolt. Furthermore, it deviates from the original role of a view model. It is recommended to use Compose for processes that require the application class. In the example, the context is obtained from the local context and UI state changes are detected in the launched effect. Then, processing that requires the context is performed within the launched effect. Next, I will explain unit testing for the data layer. In data layer tests, the key is how you handle each data source. When the network is the data source, use a test data source to avoid slowing down the test speed. On the other hand, when local storage is the data source, use a real data source in memory. This is because it is recommended to use real classes as much as possible, and in memory data sources operate fast enough. Finally, we'll look at unit tests for the domain layer. In domain layer tests, the way you handle the repository used by the use case is important. Here, too, we'll use a test repository. The reason is that, just like with the view model, we need to prepare the state of the repository.